Can business modify the report of that data? Yes, that is possible. If you are inquisitive and you have interest to look at how the thing is working, how the process is working, then it doesn't matter how much experience you have, you can get started very quickly.
Hello and welcome to another episode of the World of Audit series. Today we're joined by Satnam Hundgenn, who's the Director of IT Audit here at Cooper Standard. Satnam has many years of experience in the likes of IT, information security, audit and compliance, and has worked in the likes of India, Canada, Nigeria, and the United States. Thank you for joining us, sir.
You're welcome.
So to begin, and I always like beginning on this question with audit leaders, what attracted you to the audit profession in the first place?
I think it was the sense of being inquisitive, how things work, and how to go behind them and see the way they are working. As a child, I had that interest in those things, and eventually when I started my undergrad, and I was attracted to statistics and accounting, and then eventually went to do my certified public accountant, and then specialized in internal auditing, external auditing, and IT auditing. That is how it started.
Okay, do you think that having a wide range of experience with the many different avenues of audit is something that young auditors should consider in order to round their experience before moving forward?
Yeah, I mean, the answer to that question is both yes and no. I mean, it's not that they need to first gain the experience and then get into audit. They can first get into audit and go out and come back there. It is very important to have, experience in many functions, many areas to be a good auditor. And I have learned it myself working in Canada and also in United States. If you have cross-domain knowledge, and when you go and audit or investigate any process, that cross-domain knowledge is very helpful. For example, if a young auditor is looking at, SAP auditing, and if that auditor also understands how SAP works a little bit from IT audit perspective, and if that auditor also knows how the actual function is within the business, then his understanding of the auditing process will be much better, and that person will be able to do much better with the internal or external auditing.
Sure, okay. Do you think that rotation within audit and also specifically IT audit of auditors rotating into the business or even from the business back into audit, do you think that's something that should be almost mandatory in a business to promote the development of the professional?
It's a great idea and should be done as far as possible. To your point, if it can be mandatory, it depends upon how the companies are structured and how what kind of cash they have. For example, in automotive industry, everybody is working with shoestring budgets and all. There is so much competition, and if we implement a vigorous process of cross-functional training and lateral job movements, then you need to have certain people who are on the bench to support those movements, and that is not always possible. But back to your question, it is a great idea to do that.
Do you also think, with regards to IT audit professionals, with the development of data analytics being continuous, and it seems like, certainly from my perspective as a recruiter, it seems like there's a higher need for IT and technical understanding rather than audit experience now when people are looking to bring auditors into their department. Do you think that's the case? And if so, do you think that's because of data analytics and it's shifting the experience that people need to have in order to grow and develop within the audit profession?
Yeah, it's a very interesting question, and I have maybe sort of unique perspective about it, which is my personal view, not necessarily the views of Institute of Internal Auditors or other auditors. So I don't know if you know or not, in auditing profession, we talk about 3 lines of defense. First line of defense, second line of defense, and third line of defense. And auditing is third line of defense, internal auditing, right? First line of defense is the person who is doing the job. If I'm the person who is making the payment to my vendors, then it's my responsibility to make sure that I'm making the right payment. And the second line of defense is the supervisory organization or monitoring organization within the business who will have some kind of controls. Let's say a third party balance verification or process monitoring that all the transactions have happened correctly. And auditing is third line of defense, where auditor will go take maybe statistical samples and try to figure out everything is okay or not. Coming back to data analytics, where you look at the entire data rather than sampling it, and then you analyze it to figure out whatever your objective is, whether it's an investigation or internal audit or other engagement. You are looking at the entire data, right? And then based on that analysis, you come out with the conclusion whether the transactions that have happened in the past were correct, valid, or not, right? And this is the great way to do that, because the tools that we have today for data analysis, they are great. You can pull the entire information from your ERP system very quickly. You can build the models to analyze that data. But from internal audit perspective, my personal feeling is that this monitoring mechanism, which we also call continuous monitoring, should be with the second line of defense, not with the third line of defense. It should be done on a regular basis by the business itself, that they perform data analysis on an ongoing basis so that they can figure out if something wrong has gone. Business should not depend on internal audit to find those things. Internal audit is to review a process by exception, not as a rule. So that is my personal view, but I think generally people think that concurrence monitoring and continuous monitoring should be part of internal audit.
And do you think audit, with the amount it's developed over the last 5-10 years, do you see it continuing to develop at the same pace?
Even greater pace, because with data analysis now we are talking about artificial intelligence and machine learning, and those are even much better tools than simple data analysis, because those tools, they are able to benchmark your transactions and your daily process on an ongoing basis without even you knowing what those benchmarks are. And with that, they will start comparing those benchmarks with the daily transaction, and they can tell you what the exceptions are, what the outliers are, which previously you will have to do through a proper data analysis engagement. Now those tools provide you that information on an ongoing basis.
Is it possible, and this is very much naive, could potentially be a naive question from me, is it possible with the use of data analytics that if the business were to take ownership of continuous auditing in their area of the business, and let's say, for example, audit requested some information from them as part of a review, could the data be manipulated?
By data analysis?
By the business?
No, because monitoring is not, when you perform data monitoring, you don't change the actual data. You basically pull the data to analyze it. Data doesn't change in your systems. So I don't think that business will be able to modify the data. Can business modify the report of that data? Yes, that is possible, that business can modify those reports. However, now most of the tools which are coming, they provide you dashboards which are produced by those applications, and all the people, including senior management, executive management, they can have access to those dashboards which reflect the data inside that application.
Okay.
So that way you don't have to worry about if somebody will massage with the data or the report.
and even if you had to obtain the data again yourself, it's so fast and quick now that it wouldn't take too long for you to check if there were questions over a report. You could go in and see the information instantly.
Correct, exactly. And those, for example, previously you need to pull the data in specific format and change into a different format for your tool for the purpose of data analysis. But now you have the tools which are basically online, which sit on your ERP system and work with that data. My company is implementing S4 HANA, and I was trying to learn because it's a new system for everybody in the company. And what was amazing was that you can use this system for the purpose we are just talking about. You can look at the reports and you can look at the analysis, not on an extracted data, but the real data. So to that question, I think this further rules out any manipulation of the data or the reports.
Do you think audit professionals moving forward, and talking about the junior audit professionals out there at the moment that have a couple of years experience, that maybe are looking to spend a good few years developing themselves in the audit profession and learning about the business and the issues and the challenges, do you think now that they need to take every opportunity to develop their data analytics experience?
I think data analytics is going to be the future, definitely. So everybody should spend some time on that. However, what I have seen is that young professionals, I wouldn't say even junior auditors, even the interns who have interest in auditing, when they actually go in the field, they really ask the right questions. I was amazed by some of the interns which I had the chance to work with in this company. And I took them on engagements with me, and I saw them perform, just young graduates from the college, and they were asking very relevant questions that I would ask with all this experience. So I think, again, to your earlier question, what made me interested in auditing, I think that is what drives. If you are inquisitive and you have interest to look at how the thing is working, how the process is working, then it doesn't matter how much experience you have, you can get started very quickly.
What do you think will happen for audit professionals who don't take the time to invest in developing data analytics experience or at least knowledge?
I wouldn't say that they will not stay in the business, because data analysis is not necessarily relevant in every field of auditing. There are certain areas where data analysis just doesn't come in play. For example, when you are reviewing the design of your process, then data analysis is not part of that. You are looking at the process itself, whether it's IT process or it's a manual process. Data analysis is not part of that, and it's still part of internal audit.
Okay. Do you think taking the conversation more to audit's position in the business, something that's been discussed a lot in the interviews I've been doing is the engagement between audit and the business, and how it can sometimes be difficult and sometimes be easier. What for you are the key components and the key behaviors that audit departments should have in order to be seen as partners to the business rather than a hurdle?
You said the word partner, and that's what I believe in, and that's what we try to do, because the word auditor is not perceived very friendly by the business, right? They think if there is an audit, there is a trouble. And I think every internal audit department needs to work with the business and act as partners. And I have tried to do that, and to a large extent, very, very successful. And why I say that is that suddenly we will receive a call from a business function, and their question is they are implementing a new process or they're implementing a new application, and they want us to involve in that so that we can provide our feedback before the whole thing is implemented, rather than coming back after the fact and then pointing out mistakes. That is the way it should be. So when you use the word partner, that is how it should be. The partnership should be proactive, and internal audit should be involved with the business or IT or whichever area you need to audit. you need to invest your time in the beginning with the design of that process, of that business, and provide your feedback, what is good, what is not good, so that they can achieve their ultimate objectives.
So I guess it's important for audit to be seen before the audit, essentially, by the business.
Say it again?
It's important for audit to be seen by the business before you actually conduct an audit. It's important, I guess,
Oh
to
yes,
have that.
oh yes, that's the best way. And with my experience here and elsewhere, that has worked the best, because the thing is that, for example, in an IT organization, an IT security guy, right? He's fully qualified as an IT security person, and he's implementing IT security, and he's doing the best job he can, but he doesn't have the perspective of an auditor. And that perspective, when is missing, you will miss a lot of things. I have seen best of people working with the best of their knowledge, but they lose that audit perspective, and because of that, there are certain snags in the process or weakness in the controls or in the security. So this is the perspective that internal auditors bring to the table, which is very, very useful for the business.
What for you are the biggest challenges facing audit at this moment?
Challenges facing audit, I think, based on my experience, I would just say budget. Budget is the biggest challenge that internal audit has as of now.
Why is that?
Because, see, if you're producing something and you want to prove what you have done, you can say number of products you have produced in a given amount of time. As an internal auditor, if you want to, show somebody what is your production, it's very difficult to show it. And particularly, if you want to be partnered with the business, then it's even harder. If I'm a core internal auditor, I can tell my business, I have done 56 engagements in the year. Last year I did 54, this year I have 56. And to support that, I have 56 internal audit reports. But if I'm a business partner, then I'm not writing reports. I'm part of their implementation team, I'm part of their design team, and I'm providing them that feedback. How I show the value of those things to the management to get additional budget to do the same thing more and more. So I personally think budget is the most important consideration, and internal audit department is the one who needs to work on that to solve that problem, is to project to the senior management, to executive management, what is the value that audit is, bringing to the business. So that is one area where internal audit needs to work hard.
Hi there, me again. I just wanted to take one moment to talk to you about My Job Search, which is a self-help ebook I've created to help you manage your own recruitment process, from the very beginning of creating your CV and understanding what you want out of your career, through the middle section of interview preparation and tips, right to the very end of negotiating salaries and potentially dealing with counter offers from your current employers. Now, this is going to be available on Amazon. The link's going to be in the description below. And if you don't have a Kindle, don't worry, you just need to download the app. Until next time, bye bye.